Alright, welcome back. Today is the 1st of February, Lehane Bridge, or St. Bridget's Day, a day full of tradition and custom.
Here to tell us all, we have our good friend Shane Lehane. Shane, first of all, we have to clear something up. When does spring start? Meteorologists will say the 1st of March. What do you say?
Oh, I say the 1st of February.
Yeah.
Long before there was ever a meteorologist. It was the 1st of February, let me tell you.
And how did that? Is that just traditional growth?
Oh, listen, you can even see it at the moment. The sap is going to start rising, the birth is occurring. This is Imbolc, the old Celtic festival of the rejuvenation of everything again.
So everything's coming back to life again.
Absolutely, and you can see it around.
And they celebrated that, didn't they?
Oh my goodness, it's huge. And the one figure, of course, that we associate with that is the great figure associated with birth is Brigid. In fact, the old name for the festival is Imbolc, and Bolg is the belly.
So it's like pregnancy, isn't it?
Pregnancy, that's where we're at. So
in Bolg, it's just a mullet.
And another word,
just a mullet.
in milk, and milk is the same as milk, so it's a time of giving birth and coming into milk and lactation.
Brilliant. Okay, so tell us about St. Bridget.
St. Bridget is, I've been studying folklore now for over 30 years, and the figure who's been the best to me, and the one I love talking about the most is Brigid, because she's everything and anything. The most interesting thing about her is that she has a pre-Christian origin. You know, most people will celebrate St. Bridget, and I love St. Bridget as a figure myself, but we have evidence, for example, from there's an ancient map, Ptolemy's map.
We have it actually.
Yeah.
How ancient is that?
Yeah, it goes back to the 2nd century AD, but it's pre-Christian, coming from an earlier cartographer called Philemon. And you can see down in the southwest of Ireland, southeast, I should say.
So this is Ireland,
sunny southeast. Oh, listen, you can see the River Shannon in there. Yeah. You can see the...
What's Gongani? Is that Galway, no?
Gongani, there.
You can see the River Boovinda is in there, which is the River Boyne. But down in the southeast, you have the Brigantes, the people who follow the goddess Brigid. So we have evidence of Brigid's name prior to her.
The goddess as opposed to the saint.
Exactly. And she was there, and she was celebrated right throughout, not just Ireland, but right throughout the whole Celtic world as such. And one of the things is we often find her is divided into 3. And we often find in the depictions of those...
Oh yeah, there we see this.
There we are, yeah, her wearing her cloak. And the cloak is something, of course, later on, when the life of Brigid is written, that much of the traditions about her...
Because she took off her cloak, didn't she?
Her cloak was like her doing her magic tricks, her miracles, if you like. She used it quite a lot. There was a great story, as every school child would have learned, of her getting the land to build her monastery in Kildare. That's it. Yeah. And she puts it down on the ground, and it stretches out.
It stretches out.
And that's why the curragh in Kildare is so flat today, because everything was flattened by that.
It's amazing. I think St. Patrick is kind of pushed out of the way, really, when it comes to national saints.
Well, she's much more before St. Patrick and all that.
She's the second most important saint in Ireland. Make no doubt about it.
Did St. Patrick usurp her a little bit?
Well, I suppose the Church of Armagh championed Patrick, whereas the church in Kildare, the Fáirtha as they're called, they championed Brigid. And Brigid was already
She was set up.
But she was already set up when Christianity comes in. So the easiest thing for them to do is, of course, to listen. What I'm going to do just while we're talking, I'm going to start making Brigid's cross.
And this is, of course, I'm just going to hold it up because this is made, of course, of rushes. And this is the colour it is, because you often see Brigid's crosses, say, in traditional older houses, or years ago, I remember thatched cottages. But this is what it looks like when it's freshly made, and then after about a year, it will become this colour and last for years and years.
Did you make these in school, Maura?
We actually, I have sort of a memory of it, but we wouldn't have had any rushes. But what we would have had was straw.
You had no rushes in the island?
No rushes in the island, because it's not wet, you see, it's very dry, limestone, rock. But this is one that Shane has for 30 years. I would have thought that straw crosses would have been weaker or whatever.
That hangs in my kitchen in a lovely...
Isn't that lovely? But look at the back of this, Shane. Look at the way it's bound together so well.
So people made the crosses, and they would have made them last night on the eve of Brigid's Day. Some people would make it on Brigid's Day itself. And everyone in the house would have made one of the crosses. And the man of the house would have made the biggest cross, and they would have placed that, of course, up over the doorway, and that was to protect the house from fire, to make sure everyone was good inside. But what I find interesting about this, I'm making a slightly different cross now.
You're making this one?
Yeah, because
What's this called?
This is called the Triskel cross. Because the work I've done with the museum and the museum collection is that all the crosses have different shapes in different parts of the country, and the idea is that we've got the idea of the cross
Roland, get shot this place.
because RTE ended up taking the cross as their symbol, as their logo.
Tell us about the Trisco one there, the one I'm holding here now. This is just a 3 kind of point one. It's for me now, this is very unusual.
Yeah, well, what's interesting about it actually is the centre part of it.
Okay.
Everyone looks at the arms or the points of it, but actually the centre part of it is what it's about. And in fact,
like a triangle, is it?
Yeah, it's a triangle, and even the central lozenge shape of this is indicative as a symbol of the female. So one of the things that we're doing as we're making these particular crosses, in venerated certainly by Brigid, but we're actually making a very ancient symbol to celebrate birth and the female.
What about this? I'm sorry, I'm just so nosy about these things. What about this one?
This is the interwoven cross, and even if you look at it, it's got a lovely aspect to it. One of the nice references that we have.
You're poking me in the head with those rings.
One of the nice references we have for Brigid is that she had 3 parts. Brigid of belonging to the Smiths, the Smith work, Brigid belonging to healing, and Brigid belonging to the Druids or the Fili or the poets. So one of the things is craft work has always been, and weaving has always been something associated with Brigid. I'm just looking at Doggy here, he's ploughing ahead. So
you do very well, though.
Yeah,
we made them up, we always made them at home.
Yeah.
But then you left the cloth out last night as well. This is very important.
Yeah. The broth breed is Brigid's cloak. So the cloak carries through from her pre-Christian tradition through her Christian tradition into the folk tradition. We always took out the cloak, we put it out, a little piece of cloth. The dew would come in it, and you take it in before sunrise on Brigid's morning, and you take it in this morning, and that would have curative properties for the rest of the year.
Any ailment at all? Did you ever hear this morning?
No, definitely not.
There was another purpose as well, wasn't there? If there was no child inside in the house,
that's right.
What would the man do?
Yeah, so there was. You could use the broth in a variety of different ways that it probably can't say on television, to be honest. Okay, but you'd have various applications of the broth to various parts of the anatomy to enhance one's ability to have a child.
And people believe in this. This wasn't a joke, right? This was taken seriously.
So you'd use the broth, you'd rub the broth on parts of the anatomy to help you become more virile.
The relic.
That's not where that came from.
No, it's not.
The other aspect of this, of course, was that that was used as well to care for women who were giving birth. So if they were in pain and so on, broth breed, or the cochal breed as it was called, was brought out.
So it's almost like magical properties.
Absolutely, it is a charm. It's a magical charm, and it belongs to that folk tradition. Don't take her eye out, Dottie, please.
No,
it's poking me. It's just like every second. Like, you're so creative, Dottie, on the stage.
Listen. When I'm in a creative mood, you just have to stand back.
That's what we're doing.
So one of the other things that happened was that we were talking about the Wren boys before. Wherever the Wren boy tradition was, and the other tradition we have is the Biddy boys, the Brido.
Yes.
And they used to bring out the little. So this is the broth. And this small little doll is called the Brido. So the Brido was the little baby, if you like, or the young Brigid. And the young girls would go around as if they had given birth, and they had this little doll with them, and they had a little rhyme. Here is Brigid dressed in white, give her something for her night. She is deaf, she is dumb, she cannot speak without her tongue. And with that, they would come along, and people would get eggs, or they would get money, and that was the Brido, the tradition of the.
I remember going in the Biddy.
Yeah.
We went to the Biddy when we were young.
That's fantastic, yeah.
Shane, can I ask you about Brigid the person, what we know about her? Okay. Or what? I mean, there definitely was a Brigid.
Well,
do you know, or is it just all?
Well, I would suggest to you that what happens is that, given that there was a very important female figure prior to Christianity,
so she's symbolism.
When Christianity comes in, maybe people who believe maybe in the Fáthachta, as in County Louth, this group who were allied to the group in Kildare, that maybe they had a holy woman who was very much part of that.
So it was a symbol, really.
But what it is really, it's I don't mind the fact if it's pre-Christian or Christian. What happens is that the tradition of celebrating the female is there.
That's what it is, really. It's a celebration of female and a strong female.
And it doesn't matter if it's a Christian veneer, a non-Christian veneer, whether it's a folk veneer, it's all about celebrating the female. And that's what we're at today. The 1st of February, the beginning, the new birth.
The Me Too movement should get Brigid on their side.
Why not? Yeah.
But it's about people, isn't it, Shane, at the end of the day? Keeping traditions together and talking about these things.
You're right, because we've forgotten. But of course, RT has always had the Brigid's cross as part of the emblem.
Yeah, it was a lot nicer than this one.
Did you chop her?
You chop off there and then watch it.
It's nice there.
There's the scissors there.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I can't hand anyone the scissors. There's another picture related to that.
Yeah, look at this, Shane, the logo here, which has changed over the years to different types.
I love that, and I think what happened is that it actually kept the Brigid's cross alive as a sort of the pin-up.
Yeah,
the pin-up girl, if you like, for Irish folklore. In fact, if you Google folklore, and you put on images, it's Brigid's crosses that appear.
Is there a way of cutting this, Shane? Sorry, we have to...
No, you have to cut it the other side of where you tied it, yeah.
Oh, I know that, Shane. But is there a way of cutting it right? No.
Some people cut it at an angle, you're quite right, yeah. So, no, the whole
And
studio...
you don't have to keep going there now with that.
No, you keep that hold it together if you watch.
It should not be more like this. Do you know what I mean?
You can have your own style apparently, can't you?
Oh, that's your style, okay. That's like that's the quick version.
We set new traditions every now and then as well.
Yeah, that's important.
Can you put a bit more on?
Do you know what, no more? You can take this home, put this over your house and it'll protect your house.
I'd be scared that you touched it now.
Well, I touched it. I made it.
That's what I mean.
In front of everyone.
I know.
You can afford it, yeah.
After certain omens might come with that.
Believe me, you hold it there. This is the thing. This is another tradition. Now the person has to hold it. So they look like when you cut left.
I will take this home and have it, yeah. Well, thank you.
You're welcome.
Gurmila. No. Shane. It's been beautiful. It's always great to have you, Shane. Thank you so much for sharing all this with us. It's fantastic.
No. And after passing up tomorrow with the British cross,
I've got a cough now.
She got 6 straight away. That's an omen.
I'm serious. I can't hear you. You're giving me things.
Mind your step down now when you're walking away. Anyway, we have fantastic news for one of you at home. We want to